I started doing research on permanence of color photographs, realizing there was nothing published in the literature. Initially light fading. Of course, very quickly saw that color photography had problems, significant problems in terms of permanence. So in 1978, we decided to start work on ANSI standards on color print permanence test methods, and that work goes on to this day. Wilhelm imaging research started formally in 1995 to study the causes of deterioration of color photographs of all processes and to publish what we would call apples-to-apples comparison of the permanence, one process to another, so that consumers could make intelligent decisions about what to buy. So in the year 2000, Epson introduced the first what I would call high-quality, fine art pigment ink set with a large format printer. It was called the archival inks. And I was extremely excited about that. I knew that the possibility or the probability to have a huge advance in permanence had arrived. In terms of permanence, and it's not just light stability, pigments have tremendous advantages over dye inks. And I think Epson was the pioneer in introducing pigment inks into the fine art, commercial, and portrait markets. And it's safe to say now that essentially all fine art inkjet photographs are printed with pigment inks. One of Epson's most important contributions to photography was early on introducing pigment ink sets and continuous improvement of them. I think there's no other manufacturer that has done as much as Epson has in this area. The term print permanence refers to really all of the factors that can cause a beautiful color photograph to deteriorate over time. It includes exposure to light on display, which we refer to as light fading stability or light fastness, a lot of terms for this. Exposure to atmospheric ozone, especially in a problem in large polluted cities in the summertime. High humidity conditions. People select their most important photographs for display, and they tend to display them the longest. In other words, it's kind of a self-selection for destruction of the effective light. And that's the reason that there's been so much focus on light stability. It's been the Achilles heel of photography for a long time. Given how important good permanence on display, exposure to light is, we developed a whole series of accelerated tests to speed the process up. In an ideal world, we would determine how light stable a print is by simply putting it on the wall and measuring it over the next 100, 200 years. We can't wait 50 or 100 years to report about the new Epson pigment ink set. The test methods that Wilhelm Imaging Research has developed and the way the data are reported has become the worldwide de facto test method of all of the major manufacturers. Every time the manufacturers increase the permanence of their ink set, the tests have to run much longer. When Epson introduced the ULTRACHROME HDX, HD, and Pro inks, that required us to more than double the time in test to reach the endpoint. In terms of permanence, the major advance of the new ULTRACHROME HD, HDX, and Pro inks has been a greatly improved yellow ink. And that has managed to bring all of the permanence numbers 2 to 3 times higher than they were with the previous ink set. The display permanence ratings for the new Epson inks, all 3 of the ink sets, is something that is just truly impressive, something that traditional color photographs cannot even remotely achieve. Major advance only possible through the selection of the right pigments. A photographer's place in history, their legacy, if you will, depends on their work surviving. That's where the new papers, the new inks, and new printers are so important. Permanence is so important to be sure and confident that the print will endure, and along with that, the photographer's reputation and their place in history.